You make 6 figures. Or close to it. Your paycheck hits, and for about 4 days, you feel rich. Then bills come out. Subscriptions you forgot about. A dinner here, a treat yourself there. And by the time the next paycheck lands, you're basically back to zero. Sound familiar? Here's the part that should actually scare you. This isn't a low-income problem. This is a high-income problem. There are people making half what you make who have more saved, less debt, and way less stress about money than you do right now. So if it's not about how much you earn, what is it about? By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why a good salary doesn't automatically make you good with money, and the 4 specific mental traps that are quietly draining your account every single month, even when you think you're being responsible. Let's get into it. Here's the first thing nobody tells you when you start earning more. Your spending rises to meet your income almost automatically, without you ever deciding it should. It's called lifestyle inflation, and it's sneaky because it never feels like one big decision. It feels like 100 small, reasonable ones. You get a raise. You start ordering food delivery twice a week instead of once, because you deserve it. You're working harder now. You upgrade your apartment because your old one felt fine when you were broke, but now it feels beneath you. You start buying the nicer version of everything. The nicer coffee, the nicer gym membership, the nicer car payment. None of these individually feel reckless. That's exactly the problem. Each one is small enough to justify. But stack them together over 2 or 3 years, and you've quietly built a lifestyle that costs almost exactly what you earn, no matter how much that number grows. This is why people who get promoted, get raises, even change careers entirely for more money, and somehow still feel broke a year later. Their income went up. Their lifestyle went up just as fast to match it. The gap between what they earn and what they spend never actually widens. And here's the trap inside the trap. The better you're doing on paper, the harder this is to notice. When you're struggling, you feel the pressure. When you're earning well, the pressure disappears, and so does your incentive to actually look at where the money's going. The fix isn't complicated, but it requires honesty. Every time your income goes up, you have to consciously decide how much of that increase you'll actually let yourself spend, instead of letting your spending quietly follow your income on autopilot. Think about someone going from $50,000 a year to $80,000. On paper, that's a huge jump. That's an extra $30,000 of breathing room. But fast forward 18 months, and they are not sitting on $30,000 more in savings. They moved into a slightly nicer apartment for $400 more a month. They started leasing a newer car instead of driving the old one into the ground. They eat out more because, frankly, they can now. Add it up, and that $30,000 raise quietly turned into maybe $4,000 of actual extra savings, if that. The raise was real. The financial progress wasn't, because the lifestyle absorbed almost the entire increase before it ever had a chance to build anything. The second trap is bigger than budgeting. It's about why you spend in the first place. A lot of spending isn't about the thing you're buying. It's about how you feel right before you buy it. Stressful day at work. You order takeout, even though you have food at home, because cooking feels like one more demand on you and you just want something easy. Bored on a Sunday. You're scrolling, and suddenly there's a package coming. Feeling behind compared to people around you. Friends who seem to be doing better, traveling more, posting nicer things. You buy something that makes you feel, for a moment, like you're keeping up. This is what's called emotional spending, and it's one of the most underrated reasons high earners stay broke. Because when you have more disposable income, you also have more room to use spending as a coping mechanism, and the consequences feel smaller in the moment, so you don't notice the pattern as quickly. Here's the uncomfortable truth. A lot of purchases aren't really decisions. They are reactions. You're not choosing to buy something because you evaluated it and decided it was worth the money. You're buying it because it temporarily makes a feeling go away. Stress, boredom, comparison, loneliness, even celebration. And the thing about using money to regulate emotions is that it works just well enough to keep you doing it, but never well enough to actually fix what's underneath. The stress comes back tomorrow. The comparison comes back the next time you open social media. So you spend again. And again. This is also why telling someone just stick to a budget so often fails. A budget is a logic-based tool. Emotional spending isn't a logic problem. You can't out-spreadsheet a feeling. The real fix here is noticing the moment before you spend, catching the feeling that's driving it, and asking yourself one honest question. Am I buying this because I actually want it, or because I want this feeling to stop? That single pause, done consistently, will save you more money than almost any budgeting app ever will. Here's a small but telling test. Look back at your last 10 non-essential purchases and try to remember what you were feeling right before each one. You'll probably notice a pattern faster than you expect. Maybe it's always after a frustrating meeting, or always late at night when you're tired and scrolling, or always right after seeing something on social media. Once you can name the trigger, you've already taken away most of its power, because impulsive spending depends on you not noticing it happening in real time. The third trap is the one that quietly shapes the first two. You're not actually comparing yourself to your own goals. You're comparing yourself to the people around you. This is baked into how humans are wired. We've always judged our own situation relative to our group, not against some absolute standard. The problem is that today, your group isn't just your neighborhood or your coworkers anymore. It's everyone you follow online, most of whom are showing you a curated, filtered, occasionally fake version of their financial life. So you see someone your age with a nicer car. Someone posting from a trip you can't currently afford. Someone whose apartment looks more put together than yours. And without even consciously deciding to, you start making financial decisions based on keeping pace with an image, not based on what actually matters to you, or what you can actually afford long term. This is how perfectly smart, capable people end up financing a car they don't need, or stretching for a lease they can't comfortably afford, or saying yes to expensive plans they secretly can't justify, because saying no feels like admitting they are behind. Here's what almost nobody tells you. The people who actually build wealth are very rarely the ones who look the richest. Often it's the opposite. The flashy lifestyle and the strong financial position are usually two different people, and the financially healthy one is often the one quietly not trying to keep up. The fix for this one is less about money and more about attention. You have to get deliberate about who and what you're comparing yourself to. If your financial decisions are being shaped by people whose actual numbers you can't see, you're not making decisions, you're reacting to a highlight reel. There's a fourth trap, and it's the quietest one of all, because it doesn't even feel like spending. It feels like managing. This is the trap of small recurring costs that never get reevaluated. The streaming services you forgot you signed up for. The subscription box you meant to cancel 2 months ago. The buy now, pay later plan you used for one purchase that's still showing up on 3 different cards. None of these feel like real debt, because each one individually is small, $9.99 here, $14.99 there, a $40 monthly payment that seemed harmless when you agreed to it. But here's what makes this trap so dangerous for high earners specifically. When you make good money, you genuinely don't feel these small recurring charges. $15 a month doesn't register against a paycheck that's comfortable. So they pile up, silently, month after month, completely unexamined, not because you're careless, but because your income is high enough to absorb the damage without you noticing the bleeding. Multiply a handful of forgotten subscriptions, a couple of buy now pay later balances, and a credit card you're paying minimums on just for now, and you can easily be losing $200, $300, even $500 a month to commitments you made once and never looked at again. That's not a lifestyle choice. That's just leakage. Money leaving your account with absolutely nothing to show for it. The fix here is almost embarrassingly simple, which is exactly why most people never do it. Once a year, sit down and pull up every single recurring charge on your statements. Not your big bills, the small, easy-to-ignore ones. You will almost certainly find something you're paying for that you forgot existed. Here's why these 4 traps are so dangerous together. They reinforce each other. Lifestyle inflation raises your baseline spending. Emotional spending adds unpredictable spikes on top of that baseline. Silent debt quietly drains money in the background where you never think to look. And comparison keeps all 3 of these feeling justified, because you can always point to someone else doing the same thing or more. The result is a kind of invisible ceiling. No matter how much your income grows, your spending grows right alongside it, not because you're bad with money, but because none of these 4 things were ever about the math in the first place. They're about identity, emotion, habit, and social context. And none of those fix themselves just because your paycheck gets bigger. This is also why just earn more is incomplete advice. Earning more without addressing any of this just means you get to repeat the same pattern at a higher dollar amount. Some of the most miserable financial situations aren't low earners. They are high earners who never once stopped to ask why the money disappears, no matter how much of it there is. The good news is that none of these 4 traps require some complicated financial system to fix. They require awareness. Once you can actually see lifestyle inflation happening, once you can catch yourself mid-emotional spend, Once you notice you're reacting to comparison instead of your own goals, once you actually audit what's quietly leaving your account every month, that awareness alone changes your behavior, almost automatically. So here's what I want you to actually do with this video, not just nod along to. Pick one of these four. Just one. This week, watch for it. If it's lifestyle inflation, look back at the last time your income went up and ask honestly, did my spending go up just as fast? If it's emotional spending, the next time you're about to buy something non-essential, pause for 10 seconds and ask what feeling you're actually trying to fix. If it's comparison, take a hard look at who you're measuring yourself against and whether you even know their real financial situation. And if it's silent debt, pull up your last statement tonight and actually read every line. You don't need a perfect system. You need to catch yourself once. Then again. That's genuinely how this changes. If this hit home, you're going to want to see the next video, where I break down exactly how to build a budget that actually survives contact with real life, not the kind you abandon by week 2. Subscribe if you want more of this, and I'll see you in the next one.